So, Ford's Special Vehicle Team, also known as SVT, was working alongside with Yamaha to build a mid-engined supercar. It was known as the GN34. The project was later canned, leaving just the engine behind. Ladies and gentlemen, this is before you buy a 1989 to 1991 Ford Taurus SHO. Before we start, right off the bat, let me eliminate about 50% of the comments, okay? This is coming from Ford's official website. The SHO, originally spoken as individual letters, as of 2010, is pronounced SHO. Now that that's been settled, let's get on with the video. The original 1989 to 1991 quote-unquote box SHO was a classic case of wrong car at the right time. Like I said earlier, Ford had been working alongside Yamaha on a top secret mid-engine supercar only known by its code name, which was GN34. When the project was scrapped, they were left with a fully tuned but experimental, keyword there, experimental engine, and had no car to put it on. The mere fact it was made for a transverse front-wheel drive car meant it couldn't be put in the Mustang. So with little options on the table, Ford decided to drop the engine in its four-door family sedan at the time, which happened to be the Ford Taurus. The rest is history. In the late 80s and early 90s, this car was literally a four-door supercar. Faster than a freaking Corvette. Hell, even faster than the Mustang itself. The pedigree and engineering that went into this car is astronomical. The original box SHO had a Yamaha-built V6 engine. It only came with a 5-speed manual, which was developed by Mazda. Can you imagine now, like a Charger Hellcat rolling off the assembly line and only being optioned with a manual? That's the same caliber we're talking about here in the early 80s and 90s with the SHO. The Taurus SHO redlined at 7,000 RPMs with a top speed of 143 miles per hour. Did you guys just listen to the words I said? This mozzarella cheese wedge was smoking Mustangs and Corvettes before smoking Mustangs and Corvette was cool. 0 to 60, 6.5 seconds. Quarter mile, 15 seconds flat. That being said, if you ever get your hands on one of these, keep in mind they tend to have rod bearing issues and differential pins that don't like staying in the tranny. There's also the valve cover plug well seals, which like to accumulate oil over time. But by far the absolute worst part is all the crappy mid-80s and early 90s Ford electronics and a freaking Japanese engined car. But still, the first gen 89 to 91 SHO is by far the best one to get. The electronics, although finicky, they were still a little bit better and a little bit simpler than the second gen model, and the car was overall a little bit lighter. Now, price range for these Walmart killers range from $3,000 to $5,000 depending on the condition. More often than not, it's usually an elderly lady who doesn't know one of the sensors was just unplugged. But I must warn you, approach with caution. You're going to need a crap ton of master balls to capture this beast. Because owning a Ford Taurus SHO, whether it's a first gen or the second gen, is not for beginners.